couple of songs around the world. I'll give you these two. This is a song, in a way, describing how people thought about Jesus. Because lots of people have different ideas about him. But deep down, when you start to read a good book, you find it's all about God who became
Three hamburgers and three
walked on the earth.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Finally died on a cross, paying the price for all the things that we've done and said that are wrong. And there's a whole stack of those. And he died that we might be forgiven. That's what brought me to the end of the song, to realise that he'd hung on a cross, paying the price for all the things that I'd done wrong. Some say he was an outlaw and he roamed across the land. With a band of upstart rockers and a few old fishermen. No one knew just where he came from or exactly what he'd done. But they thought it must be something bad that kept him on the run. Some say he was a poet, and he'd stand upon a hill, and his voice would calm an angry crowd or make the sea stand still. And he spoke in many parables few could understand, but the people stopped for hours just to listen to this man. Some say he was a sorcerer, a man of mystery. Walk upon the water, he could make a blind man see, and he conjured wine at weddings and did tricks with fish and bread, and he talked of being born again and raised people from the dead. Some say a politician who spoke of being free. He was followed by the masses on the shores of Galilee. He spoke out against corruption, and he bowed to no decree. And they feared his strength and power, so they nailed him to the tree. Some say he was the Son of God, a man above all men, but he came to be a servant and to set us free from sin. And that's who I believe he was, 'cause that's who I believe. And we better all get ready for when it's time for us to leave. Let me leave you with a song that again just speaks about what Jesus did. Who cares when you're lonely inside? Who cares when you tell your lies? Who cares when you know it too high? I got news for you. The man with the nail prints in his hand said, I do. And who cares when you're feeling bad? Like the time that you cheated your dad. And who cares when you've just been had? I got news for you. A man with a nail print in his hand said I do. When problems seem too great to bear, and all around no one seems to care. this may surprise you. The man with the nail prints in his hand said, I do. Do you care that you offended him, that he hung there for your sin? Won't you let him in to make your life brand new? Oh, man with the nail prints in your hands, man with the nail prints in your hands, man with the nail prints in your hands, I do. Man with the nail prints in your hands, man with the nail prints in your hands, man with the nail prints in your hands, I do. Hey, thanks ever so much for listening. Do think about Jesus and what he's done for you, because he's done far more than perhaps most people imagine. He gave his life for you, and he wants to make his home in your life. And that's a good place to be. In an empty soul. Fill us with something that's real good and lasting. So please have a real think about that and listen to the guy who's going to come and talk to you later on. To make real sense, I'm sure. But thanks again for letting me sing and chat to you for a while. See you sometime. God bless.
Sorry?
Are you all from a church?
Not from around here.
Are you from the States?
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
You don't often get something like this.
No, well,
Friend who's doing the burgers is getting
try to do it every year. It's been shut down for the last 3 years because of COVID, so this is the first time. So hopefully,
I have a YouTube channel.
oh yeah,
I was wondering, anyone want to share their testimony with me?
yeah.
Anyway, let me know. I'll be
If
around.
you find Graham, you can talk to him.
Graham.
Graham, he was the guy that's on the front stage.
Oh, singing with the guitar.
No, that's Gus Ayres. He did the story with the book.
All right. Is he coming back and speaking later?
Well, he should be around here somewhere. He should
Graham,
be-
anyway.
Yeah, he's the pastor of Northwood Church.
Oh, thank you.
And he kind of organises all of it.
Thank you very much, sir. Oh, yeah. May I have orange, please?
Orange.
Yeah.
I've done it all week. I'll make that one black currant. I'll rinse it and do it a black.
Thank you very much. Can I sit here for a bit?
Of course you can be.
Yeah, thanks. Do you know anything about, have you been here before?
Maybe yesterday.
Huh? Yesterday?
Maybe yesterday.
They come from America?
I don't understand. From two different parts of and that chap who was on before with the guitar, he used to be just like, no, Blackpool. He used to black up that way. And there's a chap who used to be from Warrington. They're all pastors, ministers and pastors from different little churches. And they've all come to do a few hours each day.
Do they always come to Kirby or?
No, this is once, it happens once a year. And they have it for the week while the kids are at school.
Why Kirby?
I don't know, I'll tell you the chap. You see that chap with the blue hat on?
Is he Graham?
He's Graham now. He can tell you more than what he runs this.
Right.
He puts it on and he can tell you the story of it more than what I do.
Do you go to church?
I'll be honest with you. I don't say.
I gave my life to God, but I've fallen away from the church. And I don't go and I don't believe anymore. You know,
It's a
always
personal thing.
yeah.
I mean, I don't consider myself a bad person. It's not that time. I haven't got time to go to church.
Would you still consider yourself Christian?
Oh, yeah. You live the best life you can.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel as if I have to go to church every single day.
You don't have to go to church to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Or is it hard to say?
It's hard to say.
I'm actually I'm the same as you. Look.
It's just
It is hard to say.
It is hard to say.
But let's say we've got Christian values, respect for other people.
I mean, these chaps, the values are right, but it's their choice. That's what they want to do. Well, fair dues to them.
From your son. From your son.
The grandson.
Is he?
Everybody listening.
No, I'm working around here, and I was going to go to McDonald's,
So you can, yeah.
and somebody said that there's free burgers there. I was surprised.
Yeah. There's lads breaking down the bottom and they've just come and got themselves a burger.
No way.
Well, it's free, you may as well. Yeah, you may as well.
What surprises me is that there's so many over from America. I don't understand.
But they all know each other, don't they? Because I know Graham.
So I hope you're all enjoying yourselves. I hope you've all been enjoying the day. We were told there was going to be a washout today, and yet it is lovely. So I hope you're enjoying all the burgers. Still plenty of burgers, plenty of drinks, still loads of activities to be able to take part in. And most importantly, we have stuff going on all day on the stage telling you about how you can have faith and how you can receive Jesus as your own and personal saviour, and plenty of conversations going on with the team and stuff like that, because each of the team has a story to tell of what God has done in their lives as well. And I've asked Alan to come up. Alan is a good mate of mine from when I lived here. Me and Alan used to play football together back in the day.
So, Alan, for those who haven't met you in like true Cilla Black style, tell us what's your name, where you're from, and what you do.
He is a nice fella. If you want to
So, yeah, my name's Alan, and I live in Halewood, so the more south end of the city, and as a job, my job is to go and tell people about Jesus. The technical word is evangelist, but yeah, I go in different ways, try and share the good news of Jesus with people in different situations, and yeah, mostly going on the streets, engaging with people and trying to find out a bit about them, what they believe, and try and challenge them. And yeah.
Sweet, so you do it like in a professional capacity as opposed to me standing there winging it, which I've been always.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Sounds about right to be fair, so that's good. Now, people will say, who are sitting around here, people are listening, who are listening to what's going on, and they'll say, well, of course you're going to come up here and tell us about Jesus because that's your job, you get paid for it. Is that why you do it? Is it just because it's full-time jobs, because it's your wage, or what? Like, why do you choose to get up in front of people? This is a daunting thing. Why do you choose to get up and tell people about Jesus?
It's not because I want to just get paid for or anything like that. You know, I did it voluntarily. I'm a qualified carpenter, so I did that for many years, and then was doing kind of this work on the side as a volunteer, learning, training, and that sort of stuff. And then an opportunity came to go and do it full time. But it is massively out of my comfort zone. I mean, when I was working on the building site, my nickname was Mute. I just didn't talk to anybody. Naturally, I'm an introvert.
Oh, thank you.
But there is a desire within.
You refill, please. Thanks. Ketchup?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I always wanted to fit in and be like everybody else, and I wanted to be kind of in the background. And now, because of Christ, I stand out willingly because of Him. You know, that's the difference He's made in my life. That I'm not willing to stand out in many ways, but for Christ, I'm willing to stand up and talk because I passionately believe that He is the Saviour, and that without Him, we will be judged by God, and He is our only hope.
Yeah.
And so a love for people has driven me to go and tell people about Jesus, even though it's outside of my comfort zone.
Now, what brought that desire on? Is it something that's just always been there? Have you always been a Christian? Have you always loved God? Like, where did this come from initially within your life?
Yeah, so raised in a Christian family, always thought I was a Christian. You know, I went to church on a Sunday, I prayed before we ate, all those kind of things. Things that Christians do, I did. And so I just kind of thought I was a Christian growing up. And then when I was 11, I went to secondary school. We lived down south at the time. Got into year 7 and got into the football team. And you'll be amazed by that I actually got into the school team. And I was the only one on the team that didn't play Sunday league, you know, because we went to church, so I wasn't able to, and I hated that. I resented it almost, and that was the point when I began to question: am I a Christian? And if I am a Christian, do I want to be a Christian? Because actually now I'm different from everybody else because of it, and I came to the conclusion I didn't want to be a Christian, and you know, it was a time when I really kind of wanted to avoid God in many ways, because I'd always been told God loved me, and now here I was miserable, being picked on in school for going to church rather than playing football because of Him. That was kind of how I looked at it. You know, what sort of a loving God is that? That was my childish kind of view towards God. And then and then I remember kind of a few years later, these friends that I was so desperate to be like, I wanted to be like them, I wanted parents like their parents, I wanted to do what they did, and suddenly they started getting involved in kind of antisocial behaviour and that sort of stuff, and that was when I was like, well, actually I don't want to do any of that, you know, I don't want to be throwing cartons of milk at grannies when they walk past and getting in trouble with the police. And so that was when I kind of then, my whole life up to this point was wanting to be like everybody else, and now they're like something I don't want them to be. And so that was when I had another big decision really, and I started praying and saying, you know, God, are you there? Are you real? Show yourself to me if you are real. And I remember singing a song at church, a song called How Deep the Father's Love for Us, and it was one of the verses there. It talked about Jesus on the cross. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. And I can't explain it. I'd sung that song so many times before, and yet, as I was praying this, that the Lord would reveal himself to me, those words struck me in a way which was really powerful, and I realized that I was a sinner, and I may have lived a decent life, I may have grown up in a Christian family, I wasn't a terrible kid, but actually I was still a sinner, and Jesus died for my sin, and I asked Jesus to forgive me, and then we moved to Liverpool shortly after that, and I went to a new church and got new friends that were all Christians as well, and I kind of grew in that faith. And when I was about 18, 19, I had a real desire to kind of share that. Because I saw all my friends that weren't Christians and didn't go to church, they didn't have kind of hope, they didn't have peace, and they were going out drinking at the weekends, trying to find hope and peace. They were trying to find happiness in a bottle, they were trying to find happiness in kind of all sorts of things, and I had those things in Jesus. And so that's when I began to try and share the message with friends, and just found I really enjoyed it. And so then that led on to, that's a really long answer to a question, but that's kind of where it kind of developed. It kind of was seeing that I had what my friends wanted, and tried to pass that on to them, really.
I suppose that's a really good thing to remember. It's really important, obviously, within that, what you said, is that you have that need, and so many people here will think that being a Christian is about changing your life and doing things, or denying yourself all these things, not because you want to, but because you have to. And then the difference is that actually being a Christian isn't doing things because you have to, but it's changing the way that you do things because you want to, because you've realised all that God has done for you. And as you said within that song, that we see all that Christ gave for us in dying on the cross, and we realise that we want to live a life that honours and follows him. And that can be a real struggle. There'll be so many people here that maybe are going through different things, maybe going through addiction problems, maybe going just through despair and just the mundaneness of life, and feeling like, oh, maybe if I be a better person, then everything will be okay, and that'll kind of give you the right boost that means to get attachments and different things like that. But we don't really want to change who they are, but it's not really possible, is it?
No, it's not, but I don't think, obviously being a Christian is not just about being a good person and all of that, and we don't earn brownie points with God, but Jesus said to a very religious man, you must be born again. And I think that when you are born again, when you ask Jesus to come into your life, he changes your desires. So it's not that I kind of thought, well, I don't want to do this anymore because I can't do it as a Christian, but actually there wasn't any joy in that kind of stuff. The joy came in Jesus. As a child, I didn't want to go to church, and I thought it was miserable, and I thought it was kind of ruining my life. And then when I became a Christian, suddenly there was a joy in that now. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's not so much about just kind of giving these things up, and God's this kind of big ball that stops us from having a good time, but he changes our desires so that we enjoy things that we never used to, and we don't enjoy the things that we were once looking for happiness in. So I would say turn to Jesus if there's anyone out there who's looking for happiness in other places, not finding it. Becoming a Christian isn't about just kind of giving up your enjoyment, but it's about finding new life in Jesus, and he changes your desires so that you want to live for him and find enjoyment and happiness in that.
And obviously that happened for you within the sort of teenage years of your life, and you went from this life of, as you said, just wanting to sort of save yourself and do what you wanted to do, to changing this whole thing. I didn't realise as well, I didn't realise it was such a southern thing, up north as teenagers we generally done knock and run. We generally didn't throw milk at grannies, it was like a southern thing. I didn't realise that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a seaside town, you grew up in a city. I think that seaside towns are miserable places during the winter, and you kind of come up with crazy things to do for fun. I guess probably.
That's definitely one of them. Now, when you had that moment though, where you realised your need of having Jesus in your heart and asking for salvation, what happened? Was there a ceremony? Was there some sort of, did you have to give money to someone? What goes on? Because people hear the term, and it's very Christian to hear the term that we get born again. But what does that actually encompass? Because we know what being born is, but being born again, what sort of concept is that? What do you have to do?
So I think it's, in some ways, it's different for different people. I think in different situations, for me as 13-year-old, you know, I wasn't a terrible person in the eyes of kind of civilization. So there was no kind of like major change, but it was just that kind of change of desire. It was that I found that happiness that I was looking for, I guess. And there's no flashing lights. I just prayed and I asked that the Lord would come into my life, that He'd forgive me, that He would change me. And I did feel a sense of relief, you know. And so we knew we were moving to Liverpool at the end of the school year. And there was still a few months away from that, and I had enough peace about becoming a Christian that I was able and willing to kind of leave my friends, and I had quite a few lonely couple of months in the build-up to moving, because I was so convinced that I didn't want to do that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And so I think it just gave me a peace that everything would be okay, and it gave me a change of desires and a happiness that I was looking for in other places. Yeah. But I think, yeah, just praying, committing your life to Jesus, and I think that it becomes evident over time, really, that we've been born again.
Yeah, I massively agree. Obviously, and most of the people here who are in the yellow tops that you've had a chance to speak to in the past few days would be in exactly the same position as we said. None of us have ever experienced anything that's like flashing lights and different things like that. It's all just a realisation that there is a God who loves you, and you need to have that assurance of salvation which He gives you, and that peace, as you said, which sort of passes all understanding, the Bible tells us. Now, there are people here that we know from conversations we've had today and over the last couple of days, there are people here that are really thinking about these types of things. This event has given the opportunity for people to be able to ask questions, to be able to really delve into the things of life and faith and things like that. So if there's someone sitting here but they're kind of on the fence and they're thinking, shouldn't I? Is it going to make too much of a difference for my life? Or maybe I don't want that. They don't quite know how to be feeling about it. It's like, what would be, as somebody, as you said, that was kind of in that conflict of wanting to live for yourself in terms of football and stuff, but realising the need of having God from the Christian background you had. What would you say to someone who's sitting in that position of maybe thinking about it? What would be your advice to them?
So what my advice would be to ask questions, take the most of this opportunity and speak with anyone that you see with a yellow top on, or have a chat with me or someone else who's been on the stage as well. Ask questions and find out answers to questions that you have. Find out information for the church, for Northwood Chapel, and head along there as well. And but the best thing to do really would be to read the Bible and to pray, to come to God, and God knows our hearts, and I think that if we are praying with a sincere heart, if we're reading the Bible, searching for answers, I believe that God will reveal Himself to us. You know, the Bible says that if we seek the Lord with all our heart, then we will find Him. That's a promise. So I think if you're out there and you're kind of asking questions, then I'd ask them to someone who may be able to point you in the right direction. But the best thing that we can do really is go away and go to the book table, get a Bible, and start with one of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which talks through the life of Jesus, and then look to Him and pray and ask the Lord to reveal Himself.
Now, obviously, if you want to know any more about this, obviously you can chat to someone about this. Adam said, book table over there, maybe we can talk to, we'd be more than happy to chat to you about it. But as we said, don't leave this place today without that.
Hi, how are you? How are you, sir? I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
And we're not taking the opportunity to get all the answers that you need.
Yeah, that'd be a pleasure. Would I sit down or stand up? Yeah, let's go somewhere. A bit quieter.
Okay,
Yeah, we all need prayer, don't we?
A couple of days a week doing stuff like this.
It's so encouraging actually asking me.
Yeah.
Well, how are you, mate?
You were smiling a lot. You were smiling. This is. I won't be you on unless you want to be on, but I was just. I'm like a YouTuber, and I was wondering whether you don't have to, but share your testimony with me, because I've come away from Christ. So I gave my life to God quite a while ago, and I don't know if you want to say your story or maybe pray for me.
Yeah, happy to do both if that helps you.
Yeah.
But
I don't- you don't-
would you like to share with me now before it's on camera, or?
I don't. What do you feel comfortable with? Do you want to go on camera or just your voice? Or
Well, I care more about you than YouTube thing. But what I mean is, I'm not going to say for the YouTube. What I mean is, what I wanted to share with you is because you're so cared and so thought about, you're so loved. And but please be encouraged. So what I mean by that is because you're so cared and so loved.
Yeah.
I care about you as a precious being, as a precious soul. No, of course, no problem, my friend. But please be encouraged though. It's amazing that I can't tell you how many times I've gone astray from that. But yet his love never fails.
Right.
And you know, it's really funny. We're seeing a few videos showing up on YouTube now.
Yeah.
And it's like these things becoming popular, like deconstructionism or something like that.
Yeah.
Where people judge the Bible based on their own feelings and what they should be like, kind of cherry pick what they like. And some of the things, there's some really hard truths in the Bible. Sadly, I lost my mother devastated in March with cancer, and I had to see her. I mean, even talk about.
I want your words are so important. Can we go a little bit either or? Can you talk to the microphone a little bit more?
Yeah, it's up to you.
I'm going to say, my name's Carl. What's your name?
My name's Adam.
Adam has said he's lost his mother. How many months ago?
It was in March, but the reason why I mentioned that is because it was one of the most terrifying things to go through, and there's some really hard truths in the Bible. We can't just cherry pick certain things we want to believe. We can't just if the Bible is, the claim of the Word of God is it's all entirely true. There's some things in life we go through that we find really difficult, and because we struggle to understand why certain things happen the way that they do, but I would love to share comfort that there is no greater comfort than what's found in what's in Jesus.
Say that loudly. There's no greater comfort than
what's found in Jesus.
Than what is found in Jesus.
Yeah.
So, when your mum died, did you doubt? Is this in the plan? Why does this happen? Did you think, oh, actually, she's died, but I'm going to turn to Jesus for comfort? I don't know. Yeah. Or did you ask why did she die?
Some people can ask that for sure, and it's only natural, of course.
But you didn't. Because your faith was strong.
No, it's not. That's the funny thing.
Please tell me.
No, please. I'm so happy to. Thank you so much for asking. No, of course. See, it's a really amazing thing. The concept of faith, usually you hear people say, I don't have enough faith. And when I hear that now, God's help me, I'm like, great, because faith Jesus is the one who gives us that faith.
Right.
Jesus is the author, looking unto Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith. That's in the Bible in Hebrews chapter 12.
Does it say that in the Bible?
Hebrews
chapter 12.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2.
He's the author and giver of our faith.
Yeah.
Does it say that?
It does. It says, looking unto him. I think it might say Jesus or him, but if you look at the context, we know what he's talking about. So please do check that out.
No, I will. Hebrews 12.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2.
Is that New Testament or Old Testament?
New Testament.
Yeah.
Old is concealed.
Jesus.
Testament is revealed. It's a revealing of what was spoken and prophesied.
Yeah.
It's catchy, isn't it?
Okay.
So faith is a real funny thing, and it's such a comfort to know that when we're weak, it's okay to be weak because we can depend on Him to be our strength. And when it feels like everything has been stripped out from under our feet and we have no strength.
Say that again. Everything is.
It's okay to be weak when we know that Jesus can be our strength.
Right.
And during our most difficult times, I've not came across a greater comforter, someone to give better comfort and hope and love than Jesus.
Can I say something against what you've just said?
Yeah, feel free to.
When you said...
I'm always happy to take on questions.
I know, thank you. I really appreciate it. So you said we can only be weak, or it's okay to be weak if we've got Jesus to lean on. Do you kind of agree with that?
It's knowing what the reality is that we do struggle, but in our struggles we don't have to be afraid.
Say that again. Sorry, I
No worries, my friend.
I really want to understand your words, Adam.
Oh, bless you, that's no
So,
problem. Thank
please
you.
say it again.
Sure, it's knowing that I forgot it already. I do that.
Knowing that
it's
when you're weak or something to
it's
do
knowing
with
it's knowing what the reality is, that even if we struggle, we can lean on Him.
Right. If we hold that reality, that even if we struggle, we can lead on Jesus.
Yeah, it's not just about personal feelings though as well, because
okay.
you hear so many people say, well, if that's okay for you, that works for you. But there's a real comfort to it that it's like if we do try that with a tree or a donkey, it's useless.
What do you mean? Sorry.
So if we go to a tree or a donkey and ask for comfort for them,
and ask for what?
And ask for comfort
from them.
Yeah, or hope. It's like it's useless. It's just,
they're not going to answer back.
Yeah, but
well, what's your solution then? Not to go to the tree or the donkey, but but go to where?
Yeah, to Jesus.
So do you get an answer from Jesus? Tell me how you get that answer.
That is a great question. It's a really common one to ask.
Sorry.
No, of course. You see, when we hear from God, most of us might already know it's not as audible voice like we hear from everyone. And we might think that's kind of a way out of trying to excuse ourselves from being held to evidence, right? From being held to evidence, we might think that's. Some people might think, they're just trying to avoid
evidence that God exists because. So, they're getting out of it because He doesn't speak. Then Christians use that as evidence. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. People who seek to criticise Christians think that that's their get-out clause. That the Christians are using that. I don't know if I'm
that's usually how some might think of it. Which I can understand why they might think that way. But in regards to who we are as human beings, there's a uniqueness to us as human beings that where there's a deep-rooted need in us for comfort and hope and love, true unconditional love. Not when you make a mistake and then all of a sudden that love starts to become very conditional. It's true unconditional love.
Yes.
And there's a real hope beyond the grave.
So not like the love from your parents?
I mean, even our parents can't love us as much. I mean, they want to, of course, for sure, and they do. Treasure your parents, guys, because we don't know, treasure, even if you don't get along with them, try and find some middle ground.
Try, even if it's really hard.
Yeah, exactly. You won't get, because you don't, one of the last regrets you want to have is if only you tried a bit more, just to show them how much you do love them.
Well said, and that's coming from you, Adam. That's really powerful,
but
isn't it?
I had to learn that.
Your mum.
Yeah, I had to learn that from Jesus as well. So what does it really mean to show Christ-like love? We struggle, don't we? We make mistakes, but it's knowing that through all of that, there is someone who's always loved us. And of course, you get other kind of questions like, if God this, then why that? But it's really important we look at the whole context and who the kind of, what was really going on at the time.
At the time of Jesus' life? Or
What
was going on?
Is that
what you mean?
Well, you get questions like...
is that important or not important?
It's definitely important for sure. There's questions, when it comes to questions like, if God is so loving, why does He send people to hell? You see, at some point along the line, people are going to get these kind of questions usually. And we need to make sure we're looking at it in the right... we're giving everything a chance, right? And we're not, any kind of response we hear, we question that. And we want to honestly look at the whole picture and see what the reality is, not just here on earth, but beyond the grave as well.
So is that part of the bigger picture too?
I'm
trying to follow what you're saying.
No, it's no problem. I try to follow what I'm saying sometimes. But I'm so thankful for God's grace, because we need it. You see, when it comes to understand, it's like if we're I'm trying to think of an analogy. Do forgive me.
That's okay.
I need God's help each and every step of the way. So if we're speaking with a judge, as an example, I know judges aren't perfect, but in this case, if the judge is perfect, he's not done anything wrong.
So I have to imagine that the judge is perfect.
Yeah.
absolutely perfect.
I know, it's hard to believe,
Okay,
right?
that's never going to happen in real life.
I know, right?
Okay,
It's
but I'll
not.
pretend that, I'll imagine that.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
But then you have someone who has broken the law.
Yeah.
And they both find themselves in a situation where they have to objectively decide what is right.
Who has to decide?
Both from the judge and the person who sat with.
And the person that...
And the person who sat with the judge.
Oh, right. Who is that person?
Someone who's actually broke the law.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, just in this like imaginary
Okay, no,
example.
I'm with you so far, yeah.
And so
They both need to decide whether they've done something right or wrong.
they have to decide. They have to work out what is right
What
and
is
what's
right,
wrong.
okay, I'm with
but
you, yeah.
objectively, not based on personal feelings.
Right, not based on...
Yeah.
That's key.
Yeah,
That's key. All right, I'm listening.
I love it. That is key, actually.
I'm
Yeah,
listening.
and it has to be based on a higher type of standard.
Right, okay.
Yeah, now, if someone who is trying to make that judgment continually does what's wrong, and the term the Bible uses for that is sin. I mean, you know, it's not that we're so cared for and we're so loved, but we do wrong, don't we?
Yeah. But wrong according to who?
Oh, I like
Wrong,
that.
I mean, is it wrong according to your parents, your friends, society, or wrong according to the Bible,
that's
or
a good
wrong
question.
according to God?
Yeah.
How do we know what God thinks is wrong and God thinks is right?
Yeah.
Where
Well,
do we go for guidance? How do
I
we
like
know?
that, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we know that kind of right to kill someone is wrong, but what about killing an animal? Is that wrong or is that
Yeah.
right? If you kill it to eat it, is that okay? So
Yeah.
what is sinful and what is not sinful?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I do. And so
Yeah.
it's amazing, isn't it? Do you know, no matter where you go, all across the world, there always seems to be a fixed morality.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's amazing how even when you get different
Yeah.
countries where they make
Yeah.
things legal that they should not be making legal.
Yeah.
When it comes to children of young age and things like that.
Yeah. I was thinking like on Christmas Island there was, I don't know. I think some sects of maybe it was like Seventh-day Adventists or something like that. They were having underage sex or something like that.
wow, yeah.
I think, I'm not sure. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But like some laws say underage marriage is okay under 16.
Yeah, that's the one.
And
I'm referring to.
that's the one you're referring to.
But yeah, I mean, even if they differ in the laws that they try to make, there's always seems to be a fixed moral standard. And do you know what's so amazing about that?
Tell me.
If you go straight to the Ten Commandments in the Bible, that's exactly what every single government or nation or anything that has some kind of ruling structure, but you know, to keep people safe, it's all in complete agreement with the Word of God when it comes to Ten Commandments.
So even an advanced civilization like China might have similar standards to the Ten Commandments. Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you're
mean,
saying?
they would hate the idea of anyone stealing.
Yeah,
They would hate
absolutely.
murder.
Absolutely.
I don't, do forgive me, I don't know how it works with court systems in certain countries.
That's absolutely fine.
But usually they want, no, I don't know, in some places, in some places like North Korea, you might get flagged for this, I hope you don't. They actually, people need to hear this.
Tell me.
If there's a Christian who's visited their country and they're trying to share the hope and good news of the love of Jesus,
Yes.
and the leadership does not like what they're doing, just because it's based off personal feeling, not because they're breaking any law,
Right.
they end up having them. They force them in certain situations where if they don't read what's off a script, agreeing that they were in the wrong, and giving an apology, an official formal apology for it, even though they weren't in the wrong with what they'd done legally speaking, they did nothing wrong, nothing against humanity or anything, they either put the threat of imprisonment or other kinds of things I'm not so sure about, so I won't make that statement.
That is, I've got to say, I believe I'm a non-Christian, and I don't believe in God, but to hear that, what you're saying is, I feel it's not right.
Yeah,
I feel because all that person is doing is trying to share their love for what they believe is right.
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
should
I'll
they go-
have atheists over any day. I love them so much because Jesus loves them. And please
don't be afraid to ask questions. But we've got to make sure, we've got to understand the difference between, and I'm understanding still, but the difference between subjective truth and objective truth.
Yes.
We're allowed
Where can we find the objective truth?
Oh yeah, thank you.
Where can we find it?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Where can we find that objective truth?
Sure, yeah, so there's like 4 different things that I find really helpful.
Yeah,
there's
please.
evidence,
Okay.
logic, reason.
Logic.
Logic,
and
reason,
Okay.
and addressing the conscience.
And the conscience,
Yeah,
okay.
because the conscience is one of the things that we can't get away from.
Yeah,
Some
we
hate
live
it.
with it.
I know,
If
some
you do
hate
something
it.
bad, even some dogs, if they steal a treat, they look really guilty apparently.
I know,
according to
don't they?
TikTok, anyway.
Yeah, some hate it, but it's a lifesaver if we listen to it.
So
yeah.
conscience is part of the story, but not all the story.
Yeah, because that's how we've been created. We've been made that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So it's
and,
almost like in our DNA, the conscience. It's almost like in our bodies, it's written into ourselves, our conscience, and we can't escape it, as you said.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and then we have the other 2, which is so that's conscience. We have logic and reason.
Logic and reason.
Now, I tried using logic at some point in my life, but that only gets me so far because I'm not a clever person.
what?
I'm not a clever person. But it's really interesting because anyone can do this, right? If we look at these amazing buildings around here, thank you, my friend. I mean, they might not be so amazing, but if someone said, wow, that's an amazing building. That isn't amazing how all these bricks just came together by accident, coincidence, by chance, right?
Yeah.
And you just fell one by one on another in a coherent pattern, right? Usually we think like, what's he talking about? You know, we know there's a builder behind a building. Everyone knows that, right? And it's spot on, right? None of us would ever, say that's not true. But we've never used any of our 5 senses. Please stick with me. I'm not using this as an excuse to avoid evidence. The evidence is coming up.
Okay.
But we've never seen the builders. Some people may have, but we've not. But logic demands that logic has to, it demands that there has to be a builder behind the building.
Agreed.
Just like,
Agreed.
I love that building.
That's logic.
Yeah, I know, right? And art, and a piece of art, right? If we come across an amazing Michelangelo thingy, an amazing sculpture or paintwork, usually, how we usually respond is we'll walk past and we'll go, wow, look at that, it's amazing. Oh, it just came about by chance. By a blob of ink accidentally being spilt off the table, right? And we've got clear pattern, design, everything. No, right? Does it though? Because I don't need to tell anyone that. Usually it's, wow, it's amazing. Who's done that?
Yeah, exactly.
But how come, let's say someone painted the clouds, the sky, the birds, the trees and everything, beautiful, precious souls and everything.
Yeah.
And how come when it comes to the real thing, we're like, oh, okay, by chance. Because it's really fascinating.
So can you say that nice and loud? So what I understood is, if you see beautiful things, like in reality, like trees, did you say people's souls as well?
Yeah.
People's souls, beautiful souls, and other beautiful things in life. Isn't it strange not to ask who made that? Or
or at least question how it got there.
How it got there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because is that part of logic?
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I think that's bringing us right back on track really well. Yeah, so there's always a fixed kind of way how we try and understand how things got where they are, why they exist, and is there anything that caused it, right?
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating, right? Because I've heard this said once, behind anything that shows intelligence. So, I can't remember. What was it?
Somebody in the Bible? Was it in the Bible or something you've read in a book?
I think it's just using the common examples from what people pick up, like from what
like in a church, for example.
No, it was just actually. It might end up becoming a little YouTube plug-in here.
No problem.
A lovely guy called Ray Comfort.
What's the guy called?
Ray Comfort. YouTube.
Ray Comfort.
Yeah, Ray Comfort. I know, right?
R-A-Y.
That's the one.
And then Comfort.
Comfort, yeah,
Okay.
she spelled Comfort. He's got a lovely YouTube channel called Living Waters, right?
Living
Waters.
Living Waters.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they have a really fascinating way of trying to use what we know as the world that we live in and looking at things in a way that we all understand, right? But to explain heavenly things to try and take a step back and honestly look at what people really believe and why they believe it and what evidence is available for
so not just looking at the Bible, which is I think important, but also looking at real world things, and then trying to trace back to God through those real world things.
Yes, exactly. Because so
evidence. Sorry, not evidence. You said talked about logic. You talked about conscience. And there were a couple more.
There's reason, I think, and I think reason would probably fall under logic at some point, if it's reasonable.
And then you mentioned some other stuff.
Oh yeah, if I may mention it quickly, that's okay.
What else did you mention?
There's the evidence. Oh, and the evidence, logic, reason, and conscience. But for these,
what about evidence? Or is that the last one?
Oh yeah, just quickly, if I can. Behind this actually falls under evidence as well. So that's really helpful. Everywhere there's information, it usually demands or logic. It's reasonable to say that there's intelligence. So everywhere there's information, there's intelligence, right? So like
what kind of information are you talking about?
I'm so glad you asked. Like for example, a book, right? If you read a book,
any book
off the shelf or whatever.
Okay.
And so it's split up into different pages, isn't it? On each page there's several letters, and those letters form a sentence, and then a sentence forms a paragraph, or however it goes. You have punctuations, question marks, exclamation marks, and all kinds of things, right? So the possibility of getting 3 letters come together that form a word by random chance, it's not that unlikely. It can happen, but the more you stretch it out, the more deep you go in. I'll show you where this is going. When you get a sentence and you get a paragraph and you got punctuation, question marks, everything, and you show clear intention behind what you're trying to explain to someone. And if we see that what we read also fits with the reality of who we are as people and the world that we live in, so it's
very unlikely that it's going to happen by chance.
So if information has to be proof of this intelligence behind it,
right? I'm with you.
It's really fascinating that the most complex form of information ever.
The most complex
form of information ever that I'm currently aware of at this time. Is the building blocks of DNA.
The building blocks
of DNA.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like a building, you know, if there's something that's been built, or it looks like there's some kind of information that's involved in its structure or something. I don't know if anyone knows. I've got so much to learn about biology and genetics and how how it all works.
Did you learn about it today, or you didn't?
No, I've got so much to learn about it.
Oh.
I know, but hey, we've got to start somewhere, right?
I don't know much.
Yeah, sometimes I start with Google. but you know, there's so many things that are so crucial in order for the nutrients, the building blocks, and for all of it to come together. Like there's a thing called riboflavin. Is it riboflavin? Ribosome. It could be ribosome.
They build together proteins.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. I confuse it with the thing they pull in milkshakes. Do forgive me. That's the one, my friend. I'm glad you know that. So there's so much detail going on there. If that came about by chance, we're to use logic and reason based on what we know with normal things, the natural things that we see observe around the world, right? It doesn't fit with the reality of what we know.
Right, so what you're saying is something complex like the building blocks of proteins, which is DNA, how they come together, it can't just happen by chance, because if you look at the real world, those blocks, those bricks didn't come to a coherent form of a wall without a builder. Therefore, there must have been a builder for DNA. Is that roughly what you're saying?
I like that. That's a great. That's a great.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, that sounds just right. That
Is that what you're saying, or is it different? Can you tell me what you mean by if you like evidence, or why did you mention DNA? Because go on.
Oh, but thank you. I think that sounded right. I may have to go over it again so what I'm listening it actually registers. I apologise. I struggle with that sometimes.
No, me too.
So if such basic things like we know it's complex stuff, right? Building blocks and all that kind of stuff to form buildings. To
build a skyscraper.
Yeah.
It's very complex.
Oh yeah.
Structure, bricks,
insane.
fireproofing, dry lining, electrics, plumbing. All got to come together.
Yeah.
Material science, all those different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you meant that's a real world structure.
Yeah. So when it comes to the building blocks of DNA, of human biology, any kind of life form, right? Anything that has life, plants, trees, you name it. Now, even the most advanced types of science, there's not been a single person ever in all of existence where they've been able to create something new where they previously had nothing to begin with. They can use what's already there. They can manipulate DNA. Some of it they shouldn't be doing, but some do anyway. And so everything that we use around us, even to form buildings and make amazing guitars and all kinds of, and mobile phones, what's being used now, the silicon stuff and whatever. Even all this stuff, we have to get it from somewhere. And we all agree with that, don't we?
Because I don't know any better. Because how did this physical stuff get here? It couldn't have come from nothing. Or did it?
Because we know that, don't we? We know it just doesn't go poof. We know that, don't we? That it didn't just go poof.
Didn't just go poof.
And it just So there's not a single person ever in all of history that has been able to create anything that has life out of nothing. So we always use something, and don't get me wrong, it's amazing how God has given us a mind so you've got such lovely caring doctors, so that they care enough and they've advanced so much that they have, so that they can help, and we're so thankful for them and we praise God for them. But when it comes to the origin of life, everything has to have an origin point and a cause, right? A cause and effect, all that kind of stuff. So science is in complete agreement with all of this. And there's an amazing thing in science called the first law of thermodynamics.
So you said science is in agreement with what you're saying, cause and effect. Is that what science is agreeing with? Cause and effect. If there's a, how can you what is cause and effect? Sorry. Can you describe it?
I was actually going to say as well.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no problem. I was actually going to say as well. You have to forgive me. I don't know exactly all the different. All the different things that they click, all the different. It might stem off into different kind of groups of belief.
But what
like
does
with
science
evolution,
agree with?
Yeah, it's like with evolution, for example. Some believe more in macro evolution, others believe more in macro and micro evolution.
So what is macro evolution and what is micro?
Thank you. One's on a smaller event, one's on a larger event.
So say macro, say that's big, and micro is small.
I usually get them mixed up which way around it is.
What can you explain in real terms? What for you is microevolution? What does microevolution look like?
Please do understand, I'm not a trained professional.
Or why did you mention evolution? How does this fit into evidence? Is that what
it's just because you can have a belief system or a scientific method, and sometimes it can spin off into different versions of that. Because like in the science community itself, you have all kinds of debates going on regarding the very same issue, the same subject.
I agree,
and I don't know how that can. I don't know all the ins and outs, but it's kind of like that. So from what I believe, cause and effect, there has to be something to whatever effect we have. There has to be something that caused it, right? It's just basically as simple as that, it seems to be. And with first law of thermodynamics, states that life can't come from non-life. So we all life can't come from non-life.
Life cannot come from non-life. That's the first law of thermodynamics.
There's different ways of explaining it, and I've gone down for the most dumbed down version possible because it helps me, right? I'm not aiming for a PhD at the moment.
That's fine.
I just want to get my feet somewhere, and as far as I believe, that's one of the most basic ways of understanding that.
Life cannot come from non-life.
So it's basically like, it seems to be. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'm happy. I'm not opposed to hearing truth. I love hearing all the different evidence available, and we need to talk about it more. So please do that.
I think you've come to an end because you've explained the the 4 or different...
Right. Oh, sorry.
Have you explained the 4 or 5?
Almost.
Okay.
So personal thermodynamics, life can't come from non-life. Basically, that means creation can't create
Can you
itself.
say that slowly and loudly? 'Cause I
Sorry.
can't...
No. So first law of thermodynamics seems
Yeah.
to be life can't come from non-life.
Yeah.
So that seems to mean creation cannot create itself. So if creation can't create itself, that means we have to have something. To be fair, it could be a guess if some people want to see it that way. But if we're going to use logic and reason, it seems to take us down the route of there has to be something or someone who exists outside of creation, which exists of space, time, and matter, I believe.
Yeah.
So that has to be someone who is spaceless, timeless, and immaterial, but also powerful to be powerful enough to supposedly make all this, right?
Yeah, well
and
said.
even personal to even care enough to want to create life.
Absolutely.
I mean, so many of us go through rough times. I totally understand that. But like the taste buds we enjoy, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to go to the toilet and it's not troublesome.
Yeah. That's a blessing.
I know.
But
right?
we take it for granted, don't we?
We do.
Those who can do it without pain. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is, and we do find that, sadly, the world that we're living in, it's not the perfect creation that God created.
No.
But it's not because when He created it, it was all good. But something took place where I don't understand how it works. Please discuss this yourself in the comments or something.
Yeah.
But let's openly and reasonably try and work this stuff out.
Yes.
And but from something took place during the time of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Where something affected what was good and now it's not good.
Right, I'm with you.
And that affects mainly us as human beings. We know we're not as the people who we could be, right?
Yes.
But we're still loved. We've always been loved.
Yes.
And we're so cared for. And we know the difference between right and wrong. No one has to tell us that. And we know the difference between right and wrong. No one has to tell us that. But we still do wrong, don't we?
Yeah.
So even if we don't agree with God as creator and all that kind of stuff, that's where the conscience comes into play. So the conscience is a very powerful thing. But then again, if we go back to logic and reason, where did it all come from? If it went bang, what went bang? Where did all that material come from? Or just anything, multiverse, you name it. Even if it's aliens, right?
Yeah.
Even they had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we seem to have a built-in knowledge that there has to be an origin and a cause, which fits perfectly with the scientific methods. The law of thermodynamics and all kind of stuff, which I'm still trying to learn. But then the evidence, if you have to do different groups of evidence, that's the one I try to address for the aspect of creation. Then you have the historical evidence.
Right, okay.
Would you believe this? Have you heard this yet? There's more historical evidence for the person of Jesus than there is for any other person in history.
I agree. I mean,
not nicely.
Most historians, whether they're Christians or not, agree that there really was a man called Jesus in Galilee around 2020 years ago.
Yeah, even
he actually
skeptics.
existed.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, because there's people like Bart Ehrman, is it?
I don't know.
He makes it. He makes it kind of a. I don't know if he even makes it a living, but he's done quite a bit of written a few books where even he himself, who's a critic of the Gospels, right? Even he himself cannot deny that he really existed. So I love it that you mentioned that. Thank you for saying that. And so, in the most non-biased way, that's the type of historical, the amount of historical evidence that is available for that.
Yeah.
But even more, to take it even further, it's so amazing. You can literally share with someone the life of Jesus, his crucifixion, and even his resurrection.
But not everyone believes that he was resurrected from the dead.
Yeah. But amazingly, there's actually evidence for that as well, usually in the form of eyewitness. Eyewitness testimony. That's the one.
I know what you mean.
Thank you. Sorry, excuse me. So you can, because of the evidence that's available, there's all kinds of different historians. I've got them noted down. I usually forget them because I do that. So let's see. There's Pliny the Younger. Josephus Flavius.
Are these the historical evidence for Jesus' existence, or is that for the resurrection?
Oh well, amazing. That's a great question.
The ones you quote, these historical figures,
that is
Pliny the Elder and Why did you quote those?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Why
that
did
is a
you
great
mention-
question, and it's really good to ask it. It actually covers all of it, not just his existence, but also for it's the claims of his resurrection.
The claims of his
and how you hear that. I mean, claims are really important. Please let us understand, because if something's been tried in the court of law, it's so important that we include the very source of where it's being claimed from, and we can't just say, oh well, no, you're not allowed to use the Bible. We can't get away with that, because that's like saying, if we've got other kinds of evidence for or against something, someone's saying, we're not allowed to use that because I don't like it.
So your personal view is that you can use other sources that are outside the Bible to talk about Jesus' resurrection or the claims of. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, different people claim different things, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you have something where it seems like it's grounded in history, and it's not, say for example, there's the thing called Gospel of Thomas, right?
Gospel of
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard of that.
No, the Gnostic Gospels.
Oh, is that the Apocrypha?
Not the apocryphal,
okay.
the apocrypha or the other word you use
But
for
they're
it.
called what are they called?
It's basically
The Gnostic.
I think it's called Gnostic, yeah.
Gnostic
Gnostic. I think it's
The
that.
Gnostic Gospels, or
Yeah,
the Gnostic.
I think it's Gnostic Gospels,
Okay.
yeah. Spelled
And
with
one of them is one of them.
yeah,
is
so one of them is known as the Gospel of Thomas, right?
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. And there's claims made that it's authentic, and he's the original disciple of Jesus.
What do you think personally?
Yeah, well, they've already proven now, using the right kind of professional science.
Who?
Do forgive me, I don't know the names. This will have to be research you guys do.
Yeah. Who was it? Is somebody living now, or?
No, well, basically, it's claims that were made, but it's already been proven that it was something that was written about 300 years after the time of Jesus.
Yeah.
And anything that's written after the first or second generation is not counted as reliable enough because they were not there at the time.
Right. So you're saying this gospel, Gnostic Gospel of Thomas, was written about 300 years after Christ died.
Mm-hmm. This is
And
the
that's too
verified
late
sources.
for factual.
Yeah, and the reason why that's so important is because there's claims that's made within the Gnostic Gospel. Do you remember I mentioned that if there's actual historical evidence for Jesus and the claims that are made? Different people can make different claims, right? Now, if it's true what that person is claiming, we should expect to find a reasonable amount of evidence that shows at the very least there could have been people around at that time who believed that this took place. But then if you have actual evidence such as, let's say, Jesus risen from the dead, right? There's the only person who can make the claim where the only person who we can say in all of history, right, that we can visit there.
The whole of what?
In the all of history.
Yeah.
That it's a little bit doom and gloom, but not really. The only person who we can claim that we can visit their grave and they are not there is Jesus. There's different ways you can.
We can visit their grave, and who's not there?
Yeah,
What do you
his
mean?
tomb, because his tomb's empty because he risen.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, like you got other.
Yeah.
I won't mention the names, but you've got other people of other different beliefs, right, of faith and that, we love them, and all that kind of stuff, and we.
Who do we love? Who?
We love, do you know when people die and that, we care about them and we love them.
Like, for example, I lost my.
So it's not a mockery. So please, I'm basically not mocking them. So that's what I'm trying to
talking
make
about
sure.
people that have died.
Yeah. So you've
Okay.
got other people of other faiths, right? So you can actually still visit them, and they're still in that grave.
Yeah.
They're known as holy sites. I don't know if
The holies,
I don't
like
know
a
if
holy
it's
spirit
sites.
or holy body or.
I don't know. I don't know if they actually treat them as
That's
holy
all right.
sites, but maybe they might do. I don't know. But you see, with Jesus, we can visit where he was buried, and his body's not there. Now, if we just use that as the very first step, and we try to approach what evidence is available for it just from that point of view, and then we look at all the different reasons why the body could not be there. Maybe the disciples did steal the body, right? Maybe they got rid of it somewhere. But then when you hear of other testimonies from people who actually wanted to make it look like Jesus never risen from the dead, like the Pharisees, that you can read in the Gospels, then even they themselves actually confirm that something had to have happened to make it where Jesus is no longer there, and then all of a sudden the world went ablaze and the gospel of Jesus spread so far throughout the whole world, like as though something happened, something dramatic took place at that time. Where you had disciples who once fled, who once ran away from Jesus out of fear of their own lives, and then something happened where now they're willing to lay their own lives down.
So what you're saying is quite remarkable. You're saying that even when Jesus died, when he's actually dead on the cross, there were some of his followers that had turned away. There's some of the people that had heard him speak that didn't believe in Jesus, even though they physically saw him with their own eyes. They weren't Christians, but maybe they didn't believe. But there was this item of news that shook if you like, Nazareth, or shook Galilee. And that piece of news was that his tomb was empty, or...
That is a wonderful explanation, that was really well explained, yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that seems to sum it up really well, my friend.
Oh, wow.
So then you tie that in with... Now, of course, I'm just seeing in the comments that, well, that's from the Bible, right? Okay, I understand. We do have to use that as a source of evidence, right? As that's where the claim is made. But now, if we go to outside sources, or from other historical figures in history, you've got... I don't know why, but some people are discrediting Josephus Flavius, or Flavius Josephus, I don't know how you say it, but you can Google Jewish historian who spoke about Jesus or something, and then you can try and spell his name. But then you've got other people like Pliny the Younger, even Emperor Nero, it was like 60 something AD. So then you got all kinds of different historians who actually wrote about Jesus, and the things that the claim here, what we read from them, is that they're saying there were certain things going on at the time. You have these Christian, who that I thought you were madmen, for all I know, these Christian madmen, I don't believe they are, who follow this Jesus, who believe he is the Son of God, God in the flesh, who died for their sins, so that they can receive some kind of salvation or redemption or something. And do forgive me, I can't remember which historian it is, but if you look at all these different historians collectively, and then you put them all together, it all paints one coherent picture, where basically with the things they wrote about historically, and it's confirmed, you can confirm as well that it was actually from them and during that certain time. With what they wrote collectively, it paints one whole big picture to such a point where we don't even have to, do you remember saying, how we can share with someone about the life of Jesus, his crucifixion and even his resurrection, and to do that we don't even need to touch the Bible. We don't even need to touch the Bible. Not that we shouldn't read it, because it's full of such comfort. So I understand there's all kinds of other different questions loads of people have, and I'm there with you. Please ask us,
If there's anyone watching, and let's say they're from Liverpool or they're from Kirby, and I mentioned something called Northwood. Is there any phone number or any church that, without you rushing off and getting someone's number, is there any church that they could physically walk into and speak to somebody that might be as sympathetic as you, or just somebody that's willing to answer some questions in person, in the flesh? Is there any church, a physical church, not an email, or something that they, like an address that they could walk into? Is there anywhere around the northeast, around Liverpool?
That's a great question. I do apologise, the only one I'm aware of in Kirby.
Is there one in Kirby?
It's like the outskirts of Liverpool, Skemstill, I don't know.
Oh, Skem. But there is a church there.
In Kirby, yeah. It's actually, let's see. Oh, if you know the area of Kirby, right? There's a big elephant, an elephant statue in the marketplace.
Sitting on the narrow boat?
Yeah, that's the one, on the narrow boat. Yeah,
and where would they go from there?
Yeah, so you see the church itself is called Northwood Chapel.
And it's near that statue of the elephant?
No, it's not near there, but we're here now by the statue of the elephant in the marketplace, which is in Kirby. And if you're heading towards McDonald's, it's somewhere in that direction near there. Do forgive me, I don't know the exact. I can give you the postcode.
Yeah, if you give me the postcode without.
Let's see if the phone will still.
We just don't want you to walk away.
No worries.
When you walk away, I'm going to end this.
Oh, okay.
Because you got the last words.
No worries. I do apologise. You have to do a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the postcode is.
Yeah.
Where are you? Come on, give me the postcode. There you are somewhere. Where are you? I saw it like yesterday or whatever. Okay, is it right at the bottom?
And this, yeah, go on.
I just said if I can't find the postcode.
Is it postcode of a church? Or,
yeah, it's of the church, yeah.
And is the church called Northwood
Chapel, yeah.
Northwood
so
Chapel.
Just try searching Northwood
Chapel in Skelmersdale or around Skelmersdale?
Go for Kirby.
Go for Kirby.
Yeah, because I don't know exactly where
and
it
that's
is.
a church that's been going for a few years.
Yeah, I don't know how long exactly, but
that's right.
Is this,
and are you part of the church? Are you, or do you not go to church and you just?
I come to help with the Passion for Kirby.
Huh?
I come to help with the Passion for Kirby. You have it at the marketplace. By the big elephant in the boat.
So are you a pastor or are you?
Oh no, pastor. I'm
congregation? Are you part of the congregation?
Yeah. I have a lovely home church, in Warrington, in Orford, Bethel Free Church.
Yeah, we know Warrington.
Well, it's now called Life Church Bethel.
Can people go there? Can people visit?
Yeah. It's,
what's the name of that church?
Life Church Bethel.
Life Church
Bethel.
Bethel, as in like Bethlehem, Bethel. The first few words of Bethlehem.
Yes, it is.
Life Church Bethel.
Bethel.
Yeah.
And there's another lovely place called Hebron.
And that's in Warrington,
Yeah. But here's the great news though.
Yeah, go on.
If we just kind of take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And even if we don't believe in miracles, and even if we have other questions, which I completely understand, if all this evidence does point to there being a man who was called Jesus, who could have done things and said things that no one else has, that no one else can do, but we can know a true hope beyond the grave. That's a game changer, because so many people of all different faiths and religions, even atheism. I tried to leave a little question to my atheist friends. They are friends, of course, and we love them. What other hope can you share with someone at their final moment? Because even in life, because sadly, there's what they're being taught in universities now, lecturers, professors and teachers and what have you, some of them, this is wrong of course, they try to force the students to answer certain questions in certain ways based off their own pre-bias that has got nothing to do with evidence or scientific method. And if they don't answer it the way they want them to, they fail them. It's got nothing to do with the curriculum whatsoever. So that is shocking, isn't it? So that's one thing that's going on. But then sadly, you've got all too many youths now, too many young people who feel suicidal because the police talk to them about that. Never hide it in the dark. Tell someone. We care for you. There's always someone there. And we're going to be stubborn in one area. Be stubborn to press on, to look for that hope. Because we know it's going to be better for us anyway. It's going to be what we need. Because they're being told that life's meaningless. It's just random chaos and chance. As Richard Dawkins once said, we just dance to the language of our DNA. Wow. So basically what that means is, right, if our DNA says we feel like stealing, obviously we know we don't, we can steal. If we want to be unfaithful to someone, we can be unfaithful. So basically there's a hope and a reality that we find in Jesus. Hello, okay.
Hi.
Do you know the postcode to Kirby?
Yeah. L33 6XJ.
There we go.
Can I ask, are you filming?
Yeah.
Why are you filming?
Question.
I've got my own YouTube channel.
Okay, right. And what's your purpose in filming, Adam?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you for your channel so I can see it.
Adam can answer that.
Okay, why are you being filmed, Adam?
He's wanting. What did he say? You went to a place where you lost faith in Christ, and you're asking is evidence available?
Yeah.
And is it reasonable to believe in the Bible? And does it fit with who we are as people? Comfort and hope that we need. So just sharing the evidence that's available.
Right, and what are you going to do with the video?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
This
I
is
know
going to be
could.
posted online on my channel.
And what is the aim of the channel?
There's no. My aim is filming in public with people who's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
And something interesting. And I've been always open to interesting people and hearing about different religions, and also, in particularly, I've been meaning to listen to stories about why people come to religion, and I was really hoping that a Christian would talk to me,
right, okay.
and to tell me why they came to Christ, and hopefully it might give faith sort of inspiration to other people to listen to, and maybe even come to Christ.
And are you happy being filmed, Adam?
Yeah,
He's been really good. He's been answering a lot of tough questions.
And you're happy for it to be used in a public environment online?
If I can know
You can have the link.
channel.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a
Yeah.
card or any kind of...
I don't, but I'll give out my details, and then he can
Please
pass it on
do,
to
yeah.
you.
Right, and you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I need God's grace because I'm clueless, right? But I've tried to answer any kind of difficult questions in a way where it provides evidence.
Yeah.
It can't be misconstrued, used for wrong intentions. So I've tried to be very careful about the words I use, because it's the first time meeting you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What is your name?
My name's Carl.
Carl, okay.
Yeah, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Graham.
Graham. Oh yeah, Graham. Yeah.
I'm the pastor of Northwood Chapel. We
Fantastic.
organise
Yeah. Thank you very much.
This is the guy with the know-how.
Yeah.
I'll leave you
Brilliant.
to it then.
Sure,
Thank
this
you.
is a very lovely guy.
Thank you, Graham.
Good.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
So,
got nothing to worry. And would you, once I give you my channel, if anyone's got questions, if this video brings up questions, would you be able to try and answer those questions on my channel?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe they've got, this is rubbish because X, Y, Z. If you've got the time, maybe just have a look at those questions.
My only question is if it's possible at any point for either you to include in your own personal comment, because it's your YouTube channel and you have control of this, right?
What would you like?
Because it's your YouTube channel, right, and you have personal control over it.
Yeah.
If there's anything, do you know you get so many people that have so many questions? I understand. Sometimes that question's been like that. Don't climb in my friend, it's too dangerous. Sorry, don't want you getting hurt. Have fun now. Sorry. It's almost like impossible to answer so many comments, right? When it's already been answered as well. If there's anybody, and you don't have to, but if there's like a pin, where you can
pin a comment.
Maybe. I don't know how you go about that. It's your channel.
No.
I can't.
You just let me know. You can, in your response to the person, you can put in brackets pin or something like that, and then I will automatically pin the comment. Then whatever you judge, because I feel a lot of this video is about you. I'm sorry, not about you. I'd say about us and
evidence for hope.
And you're willing to talk to any of these people that watch it. Then if you think I should pin something, then just write after you respond. You put pin, and I will pin it. Would that be okay?
It feels wrong for me to ask you to do that. So that
No, I don't have many people on my channel, but I don't have thousands of followers. I've only got 500. Only 500 at the moment. There shouldn't be lots of
They're
people.
all precious people, though, aren't they? But yeah. Oh, and by the way, we're all in this journey together.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I agree with you.
There's nothing unique about me. I'm not special. Please
No,
don't.
neither am I.
If you're able to edit that somewhere, that'd be good. Hello, you okay?
I'm just.
Yeah. So I'm not special. There's one person who makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And if all this evidence historically, even outside of the Bible, from other historical figures like Emperor Nero and all the other Pliny the Younger, and just Google historical evidence for Jesus outside the Bible or something. If all of this points towards the claims that the things we read in the Bible, was an actual, at the very least, someone thought it was worthy to write about these things, even people who weren't believers. It's got to be saying something. And again, is there any other belief or hope that we can offer someone that can offers hope to someone at the very last days? And the reality of who we are.
Would you be able to say a small prayer for me and just maybe to soften my heart and just for it to work, just for your words, just for your words to kind of maybe take an effect on me. Do you think you'll be able to pray with me now, or do you feel comfortable to do that?
I'm always happy to pray. I'll never turn that down.
Yeah. Okay. I had 2 burgers about half an hour ago. I'm absolutely wonderful.
He's coming.
Tea or coffee?
I might later after I speak to Adam, but thank you so much.
Thanks for the fruit. I enjoyed that.
Okay, so I'll keep the camera rolling just in case.
Yeah, no problem, my friend. What's your name, sorry?
Carl.
Carl, would you like to say anything or don't we say anything?
Maybe pray for my health. I'm not seriously ill. But just pray
I'm
for
just
my
out
health.
of shape. I'm just out of shape.
Well, same here. Pray for health, being out of shape, and for my family, and also just being able to support my family and be a good person. Just generally do the right thing. There's nothing. I won't close my eyes.
Yeah, no problem. Well,
Yeah,
it's
go on.
good for you, my
Go
friend.
on, I'll just relax you. Go on.
Dear gracious Lord and Heavenly Father, Lord, we're just human people. We're just human beings. We struggle with so many different things, and these things are a reality. We go through tough times, but I pray, Lord, that you will just help us to be soft and open for a type of comfort and hope. If there is a reality to this, if there's even any possibility that there is a depth of comfort and hope and love and peace and forgiveness that's found, it's available. That there's definitely something we should all be willing to it's something that we should be help us to be open to these things. And there doesn't seem to be any reason to oppose grace and love, because we know that's what we need. I pray, Lord, that you will just help us to understand who you are, and if you are, for those who doubt and don't know for sure, you're not the only one. We all have times like that. But for such people like that, if you are real, please show us that you're real. Help us to understand this if it's true. If it is true, it's something we need to know desperately. Because if it is true, it's a game changer. It gives us a real hope and a comfort and a peace that no matter what goes on in the world from day to day, and no matter how many tough times we go through, there is none of that can take away that peace and hope that it can be found in Jesus. And we just pray, Lord, that everyone here and everyone listening will know that just how precious they are, how loved and cared for they are. And I know that can seem hard to believe that when there's so many tough times going on. And sometimes we don't have the answers to all the questions. But instead of responding in hatred, please help us to know a greater kind of love. And instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, pardon that expression, the times when we do struggle, I just really pray that you will draw so close to them, Lord, and they will know that there is such a comfort for them. And any questions they may have, I pray, Lord, that you will just help them with these things and protect them from people. Not everyone's honest. Some people will have their own agendas, and even anyone can have their own agenda if we're not careful. But whoever we look to for guidance, whatever answers we receive, please help us to know the difference between an argument that's based on something that's not true, that's not in its right context, and what's a straw man. Help us to understand what is true and to know how much you love us, and just keep drawing us closer to you. And even if we don't believe any of this, at the end of it all, there's got to be more to this, and we know it's not just hope beyond the grave, it's hope in life as well, that we are so cared for. I'm a nobody. I'm nothing special, but there is someone who can help us where we need that help, and I just trust it all with you, God, that you can do what we can, and that just, I pray, Lord, that you'll just save every precious soul here, and just keep us focused on the things that are good for us and what will bring us encouragement. In Jesus' precious holy name we pray.
Amen.
I'm sorry, it's not the best prayer, but it's not that counts. It's just trusting that there's something unique, and you can use me, you can use anyone.
See you, Adam. Bye. thanks a lot for everything.
Sure, no problem, my friend.
I'm going to switch this off now, okay?
No problem. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, Adam. See you, mate. Oh, yeah.
As